This is Vesta Preferred Realty's real estate report for the fourth quarter of 2022. This is going to have the city and also the suburbs. I hope you enjoy. This is Grigory with Vesta Preferred. I'm the managing broker here, but I also head the Vesta team. We're one of the top teams that sells here in the city and the surrounding suburbs. Today we're going to be talking about the Q4 data that just came out from the Chicago Association of REALTORs. The way that they get this information, it's all of the selling entities. They put all the information for all of the sold properties into the MLS, the multiple listing service. They grab all that data, they quantify it, and then they rank all of the 77 different neighborhoods in and around the city, and then all of the suburbs get their own individual categories and rankings and whatnot. So what I thought would be really interesting is if we take a look at that data, put them in different categories, which I'll go over here in a little bit, and how do they compare against one another. And what's really cool is I'm gonna go over some emerging areas, some places that I think will be an interesting place to invest in 2023. So stay tuned for that. The categories we're gonna go over, this is gonna be looking over all of the single family homes, all of the attached condos, if it's going to be the city report for the city, for the suburbs. So we're going to be looking at the top 3 average selling prices, which areas had the highest average selling prices in Q4 of 2022. We're also going to be looking at market time. I thought it was really interesting to see which areas had the most market time, meaning it took the longest to sell in Q4, and then which areas had the least amount of market time. So while it was in Q4, everybody was talking about how long it was taking to sell places. These specific neighborhoods we're going to talk about showed above average, well above average when it comes to the quickening of selling of homes. So really ahead of the curve when it comes to fewer days on market than most. And also, I'm going to be going over some opportunity buys in the specific neighborhoods in all the different categories. So if you're looking to buy, stay tuned. So why is this interesting and why is this information that you should be looking at? Well, first, if you're interested in buying, everything is about data, and there's a lot of data out there. So this is a way to put some of that data into a understandable format so that you can see how these areas are all ranking. If there's an area of interest, see how it ranks, how it's performing. Or if you're just looking for some opportunities, I get a lot of people asking me, Greg, where should we buy? Where's an emerging area? Where should we invest? This actually answers those questions. So I hope that you're gonna find some information and interesting information with that. Also, if you do not hear your specific neighborhood, your specific city in these reports, you can go to you're gonna either link in my bio, it's gonna be a link in my description. I'm gonna go over that at the end here, but there is a link that takes you where you can download free PDFs that per category ranks all of the different, if the suburbs, obviously all the different suburbs, and then in the city, all the different 77 neighborhoods against one another to see how yours specifically compares. All right, our first category is gonna be single family homes in the suburbs, and we're gonna be starting out with average selling prices. So which 3 suburbs had the highest average selling prices in Q4? Let's begin. Lake Forest at just above 1.6 million. Number 2, Glencoe at just above 1.7 million. And number 1 is Kenilworth at just below $2 million on average for single family homes. Now, all 3 of these suburbs shouldn't be a surprise. They've been of strong interest. During COVID, a lot of people started to move over there. It was already super popular, and they were all really super popular neighborhoods, but now they're even more popular, and Q4 proved that. All right, now we're gonna be going into market time, and we're gonna start off with which 3 suburbs had the most market time in Q4, meaning it took the longest to sell. Number 3 was Richmond at an average of 112 days for single family homes in Richmond to sell. Number 2, Thornton at 117 days average to sell in Thornton in Q4 of 2022. And number 1 was Stone Park, just a day ahead of Thornton at 118 days on average for homes to sell in Stone Park. Now, we're gonna be going into the least market time. So the story with Q4, even Q3 of last year, was just how long it was taking for properties on average to sell. I mean, it was starting to creep up to 60 to 90 days here in the city and around. So these are gonna be very interesting neighborhoods to call out because they had well ahead of those in regards to performance with lower market times. Number 3 on the list is Rockdale at 11 days on average. Incredible. 11 days on average it took for single family homes to sell in Rockdale. Number 2, South Wilmington at 6 days, less than a week. It took less than a week for this average single family home to sell in South Wilmington. Incredible. And actually the first one and the second one is a tie at also 6 days is Norwood Park Township. Also 6 days to sell on average for single family homes in Norwood Park Township. I mean, less than a week to sell in Q4 is actually really, really, really interesting because it was not like that on average for all the other real estate. So let's get into my predictions for 2023. What we did was we took 2 specific categories, the most significant change in market time from Q3 to Q4, and the largest jump in average selling price from Q3 to Q4. Why do I think that those are the 2 metrics to watch to find out an area of interest? Is because when market time is going down, that means more interest is coming into an area. So there's something happening there where the demand is outweighing the supply and homes are selling quicker. And remember, in Q3 and Q4 of last year, it was going the opposite way. Usually homes were taking longer to sell. So these were trending downward. So very interesting to watch. Same thing with average selling price. Average selling prices were going down. These 3 I'm going to talk about had the highest jump across the board, across all of the Chicagoland suburbs in regards to average selling price from Q3 to Q4. So let's get into it. From Q3 to Q4, for the most significant change in market time, number 3 came in at Rockdale. Rockdale the house of single family homes took 56% less time to sell in Q4 than they did in Q3. And I took a look, there's one single family home for sale there for just about $250,000. So super affordable. Number 2, Norwood Park Township took 60% less time to sell for a single family home in Q4 than it did in Q3. I took a look. 0 homes right now available for sale there. Not interesting, obviously you're seeing this data, but something in an area to absolutely keep your eye on. And number 1, at 74% less time to sell in Q4 than Q3 was Bedford Park. I also took a look. No homes for sale in Bedford Park as of right now. I don't know about tomorrow, but Bedford Park just south of LaGrange. LaGrange has been a huge area of growth of interest. So what I always talk about is these outskirts areas where they are just outside of the really heavily populated, crazy growth markets where people are starting to move to, where they're finding better deals, but they know that that expansion should be coming and that value should be going up. So those are 3 areas that I think are really, really interesting and should be on your watch list. And if you're looking in that area, definitely have an eye and have your broker keep an eye for properties there. All right, now we're talking about the most significant jump in average selling prices. So from Q3 to Q4, which 3 areas had the most significant jump in average selling prices? Number 3, coming in is Big Rock. Big Rock was up 37% from Q3 to Q4. The average home for sale there was about $467,000. To give you an idea, I checked, there's 3 homes for sale right now, averaging from $639,000 up to $1.5 million. Big Rock, good work. Number 2, the number 2 most appreciated area for Chicagoland suburbs is Robbins. Robbins was up 39% from Q3 to Q4. An average home for sale there is about $104,000. I checked, 3 homes are right now available for sale from $54,000 to $300,000. So if you're looking for your next fix and flip, Robbins, keep that on your list. And number 1, Lee. The suburb Lee up 59%. 59% in regards to the average selling price up from Q3 to Q4. Average home to sell there is about $203,000 in Q4. And right now there's 1 home for sale there for $450,000. 3 areas that have significant opportunity for growth in 2023. Next, let's talk about attached condos, homes for sale in the suburbs. Obviously, everybody always talks about the single family homes. People kind of miss on the attached homes, the townhouses, the condos, but there's a vibrant townhouse and condo market in the suburbs, and we are going to look at how they did in Q4. So the top 3 average selling prices for condo homes in the suburbs is starting out at Lake Forest. Lake Forest had the 3rd highest average selling price at $521,000. Number 2 is Wilmette at $543,000 on average for condos to sell in Q4. And number 1 was Northfield at $574,000 was the average condo home to sell in Q4 for Northfield. 3 areas of high interest, a lot of people moving there, very popular suburbs, very close to the city, so this shouldn't be of any surprise. Let's talk about market time. Which 3 suburbs showed the most market time for attached homes, condos, in Q4? Number 3, Kenilworth at 137 days. Kenilworth is a big surprise. A lot of people have a lot of interest there. Typically that's not the case, but Kenilworth is coming in at number 3 for the most market time for attached homes, condos, in Q4 at 137 days. Number 2 is Hillside, coming in at 155 days on average for a condo to sell in Q4 in Hillside. And number 1 was Summit. Summit, in the city of Summit, it took 160 days on average for attached homes to sell in Q4. Now, my most interesting stat is the least market time. Which of these attached condos sold the quickest in which suburbs in Q4? And I keep talking about this, but in Q4, Q3, the biggest conversation was that everything was trending upwards. Prices were falling and homes are sitting on the market longer. So these are very interesting because they all showed super fast speed in regards to condos selling in Q4. So number 3 is Moments. At 4 days on average, it took an attached condo to sell in Moments in Q4. That is incredible, less than a week. What's even more incredible are number 1 and number 2. They tied at 2 days on the market at Bellwood and Oak Brook Terrace. Both took 2 days on average. So if somebody would put a home on the market, it would go under contract in 2 days on average in Q4 for Oak Brook Terrace and Bellwood. Absolutely incredible. I mean, for Q4, for those kind of stats and those numbers, it was literally operating like in a different universe when it came to almost all of the other areas in Chicago. So keep an eye and a specific thought on those specific 3 if you're looking in the suburbs to buy a condo. All right, my predictions, my opportunity zones in 2023 for condos in the suburbs. So what we did was we quantified all of these by market time and average selling price. As I mentioned before, and I keep talking about, in Q3 and Q4, everything was trending up, the opposite of what these 3 areas in each of these categories was trending. So all of the market time was trending up, so the homes were sitting for longer, and the average selling prices were trending down, so they were selling for less. These are the opposite. These sold quicker in Q4 than Q3, and then these also sold for more in Q4 than they did in Q3. So let's get into it. For the most significant change in market time, the top 3 is number 3, Genoa. It sold 92% quicker in Q4 than it did in Q3. It took 92% less time to sell a condo in Genoa in Q4. Absolutely incredible. I also took a look. There's 2 condos for sale right now for about $350,000 each, to kind of give you an idea what the prices is in Genoa right now. Number 2 is Bellwood. They sold at 94% quicker. They sold 94% quicker than Q4 than they did in Q3. And right now there's 1 condo for sale for $205,000, also very affordable. And the number 1 area that had the most appreciating average selling price from Q4 to Q3 is Oak Brook Terrace. 97% less time to sell in Oak Brook Terrace. Right now there's 1 for $195,000. So those 3 are all trending. They all sold super fast when it came to the average, and these were the top 3 quickest selling suburbs in Q4 as compared to Q3. Keep an eye on these suburbs if you're looking for an investment property or you're looking to move in yourself. Those are fantastic ones to watch. And number 3, the most significant average selling prices to jump. So from Q3 to Q4, which 3 had the highest jump of average selling price as comparatively to the other suburbs? Number 3 was LaGrange Park. There's a 54% jump in average selling price. The average selling price of a condo in Q4 there was $186,000. So that's incredible. And right now there is 1 condo for sale for $159,000. Number 2, Highland Park. Highland Park came in at 95% in a significant jump. The average condo there was $379,000. And the last time I checked, there were 6 homes for sale there for $364,000 up to $1.4 million. Highland Park, good work. And number 1, the number 1 area with the biggest jump in average selling prices in Q4 of last year of 2022 was Clarendon Hills, up 109% up on the average selling price from Q3 to Q4, and the average selling price there in Q4 was $509,000. I just checked, and there are 2 condos right now that are for sale at 174,000 to about 370,000. I mean, that is all really, really great. These three areas have been talked about a lot. A lot of my clients have been shopping over there. People have been moving, and they continue to move as their own individual situations change. But these three areas are always in the conversation if they're looking to move in that specific region, west or north. Let's get into multi-units. So which suburbs had the best opportunity and some of the longest market times for multi-units in Q4 of 2022? So this is for my investors out there, or for people that just want to live in a multi-unit. So let's do this. So for Q4 in the suburbs, in regards to average selling prices, the suburbs that had the highest average selling prices for multi-units in Q4 of 2022 was number one, Itasca. At $655,000 was the average multi-unit for sale in Q4 in Itasca. Number two, Westmont came in at $730,000 in Q4 of 2022. And number one was Winnetka. Winnetka came in at $986,000. That was the average selling price for a multi-unit in Q4 of 2022. All right, next up is market time. Which three suburbs had the most market time for multi-units in Q4? Number three, Riverdale came in at 242 days. Phoenix came in at 270 days. And Moni came in at an average 1,078 days. Ouch. That means that those three took the longest to sell multi-units. Now, it's not all doom and gloom, right? I always say, if you're looking for an opportunity, usually sellers have a little bit more flexibility the longer they're on the market. So maybe those are some opportunity areas. Now, the top three for the least market time for the suburbs for multi-units is number three, Braidwood, for 1 day. They're all a tie. They're all 1 day. Braidwood, Mendota, and Round Lake all took 1 day to sell. The second that it would fall on Q4, if you put up a multi-unit in those three areas, it would have sold like that. Very interesting. Also, three areas to keep an eye on and try to see if you can find off-market properties. Your broker should be able to have access to at least some avenues to be able to find that for you. But if you're looking for a multi-unit, those three are very interesting, obviously in high demand. All right. My opportunity predictions for 2023, everybody's favorite moment. We're going to be looking at the two metrics, the most significant change in market time, meaning from Q3 to Q4, which three areas showed the quickest absorption rate. When last year, if you remember, in Q3 and Q4, as I was saying, that the trend was actually the opposite. It took things longer to sell. These were showing the opposite, that they were selling quicker, right? So this is why it's an opportunity for me, because going into 2023, it was already showing really, really good metrics. So that's going to be a really good metric to watch. Number two is the average selling price. Which three suburbs showed the highest average selling price change from Q3 to Q4, meaning there was more demand, people were moving there, and you potentially want to look now before it gets even crazier. So number one, we're going to be talking about the most significant change in market time. Which three areas had the quickest time to sell for multi-units in the suburbs? Number three was Rockdale, took 97% faster. It was the multi-units sold for 97% faster in Q4 than they did in Q3. Took a look, 0 for sale right now. Keep an eye on it. Number two, Round Lake, sold 98% faster in Q4 than Q3. Also, nothing available there, 0. No surprises there with that kind of absorption rate. And number one, also at 98%. So a tie with Round Lake was Justice at 98% quicker to sell in Q4 than Q3. I actually took a look. Justice has 3 multi-units for sale, to give you an idea, ranging between $345,000 to $495,000. So something to keep an eye on over there. Now, the most significant average selling prices to jump for the 3 suburbs for multi-units. Number 3 was Bensonville, up 70%. The average multi-unit to sell was $502,000, but from Q3 to Q4, the average selling price was up 70% in Bensonville in 2022. I took a look, 0 for sale. Keep an eye on it. Number 2, Round Lake. Round Lake seems to be in a bit of a trending multi-unit market. Just saying. Up 84% with the average selling price, and the average sold price was $400,000 in Q4 of 2022, to kind of give you an idea of value there. Also 0 for sale right now. And then number 1 was Wilmington, up 152% from Q3 to Q4. Average selling price in Q4 was $390,000. Also, nothing for sale there. Not terrible. The thing is that if there's nothing for sale, you should be able to at least do with your broker some off-market marketing to see if there is anybody willing to buy. Those are your 3 highest change in average selling prices for suburbs with multi-units. If you found this at all interesting, please comment, like, share, all the hearts, all the love, but also follow the link in my bio. That is where you can go to see the specific PDFs of the individual information. If you have a neighborhood you specifically want to see, but I didn't mention it, go to that link and find that specific PDF to see how that specific area ranks. Or put a comment and let me know what you're interested in knowing, and I will respond with the ranking. If you found this at all interesting, please comment, subscribe, like, all the things that you can do. But more importantly, go to the link in my description. There is where you can go and find the PDFs I was mentioning, that if you want to see how your specific neighborhood is doing, or if you're shopping, you want to see how they all compare, they're all there. You can download it. Also, you can check out on YouTube all of the different playlists, because we've cut these up into all of the individual specific types of categories that we went over for all of the Q4 information. There's a lot out there. I didn't want to put a 5-hour video up, and we made it, try to make it as easy to digest as possible. So I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making this, and I'll see you in the next quarter.